All right, in the interest of time, we can get things rolling. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Jasper with Score Main. I'm joined by Tracy O'Clair for this presentation on getting your digital accounts in order. Digital accounts, everyone's got one nowadays. It's just a fact of doing business these days that you should be out there, and we're here to help with that. If you didn't know about Score, we're a resource partner of the Small Business Administration. We help clients from all stages of the business cycle, from pre-start to exit. And I do want to thank our sponsor today, the Maine Technology Institute, for helping make this event possible. If you have any questions, you can feel free to queue them up in the chat, or otherwise we'll have a Q&A section at the end of the presentation today where you can ask. And we are recording, and so if you miss anything or join us late or have to leave, that recording will be sent out once we wrap up and it's posted to our YouTube channel. Without further ado, Tracy, why don't you take it away?
Sounds great. Thanks, Jasper. So thanks for everybody to come. We were originally like 2 days ago, we had 14 registers, and now Jasper said we have about like 34 or so. So I was like, oh, darn, I wanted to do introductions because I like to understand a little bit about who I'm talking to. But I will just introduce myself and then I will jump into it. My name is Tracy O'Clair. I own a digital marketing agency called Talk Media. We primarily work in digital marketing, so with small businesses on a regular basis. So we run into a lot of this whole like, what are my accounts doing? I set this up and then I set that up, and then confused, and we come in and help them. But we also do content marketing, social media marketing, email marketing. You can see it on the slide deck, blog writing, digital advertising, website design and development, usually on WordPress, and marketing strategy and consulting. I have, like I was telling Jasper, I have about like I think 3 slides that are really meaty. So we're going to get into like the details there. And I talk fast, but I can also fill up space. So I will fill up about 45 minutes or so or longer. And then we'll open it up to questions like Jasper said. And then, but also please make sure that you put your questions in the chat so Jasper can look at that and he can interrupt me if something's time sensitive relative. So that's me. This is the outline, and I'm just following the score template here. So they asked me to do an outline, so I did. But these are the things we're going to look at. Most of it, like I said, we're going to review the digital accounts. I don't know what you guys have currently, but I'm going to give you basically an overview with some really good tips into making sure that your digital accounts are safe, secure, and that you own them. Um, So just a real quick rundown. I'm gonna get into these a little bit further, but these are the accounts that I've identified that is like a must need for businesses. So if you're running a business, whether you're a small business, big business, you basically need these types of accounts for many reasons. A lot of it's for marketing, but also it's for search engine optimization. So you got to think about when you're searching for something, right? And if I have the larger sites are going to come up first. So if I'm on LinkedIn, if I'm on Facebook, a lot of that time, most of the time, um, or all the time, your name or your business is going to come up on those links first, unless you have really good SEO on your website. So LinkedIn, websites, Meta Business Suite, we're going to get into because that's a really big one. And then we're going to talk about email marketing and just what it means to have a business email account. Again, I apologize. I don't really know where you're at in your marketing journey. So I'm going to give you what I planned on. LinkedIn, I wanted to start off with that just because it's kind of like a set it and forget it. A lot of people overlook it, but the biggest thing about LinkedIn is that everybody has a job. So what I recommend on LinkedIn is create your own personal account if you don't have one, which you should. If I feel like everybody in business should have their own personal account. And then create a business account. And the biggest thing about all of these accounts that are online is that you want to try to make sure that your username and your URL link is the same as the name of your business. And sometimes that's hard, obviously, especially if like everybody's having it. Similar business. Like we have this one client we're working with, Bayside Painting, and there's like another Bayside Painting. But if you can secure Bayside Painting, then it's going to make more sense. It's going to help you with search engine optimization. So a little bit more about LinkedIn. Like I said, create your personal page, then create a business page from your personal page. Fill out all the detail on your business page. So you want to make sure you have an image, a description, all of the links, so on and so forth. You don't, especially as a small business owner, I know time is very limited. You don't necessarily have to post on LinkedIn on your business page. It's just kind of be there. You can tag it. You One of the things that you do want to do is back to your business, your personal LinkedIn profile, is that when you create the business page or the company page, you want to make sure that your personal profile is connected to your company page via your work experience. So if the company page is up and running, you can go into your work experience and you can start typing your business company page, and um, it should appear, and then you click on it, and then that way when people go to your personal page, they can click through to your company page. And so on your personal page, you just want to make sure it's optimized, so just fill it out, all your jobs, all your experiences, your name. There is a tagline up at the top where you can put anything you want, so you could be like professional real estate developer in Maine, or whatever it is. So it's basic, and that can be changed on a regular basis. So that's a nice little hook. And that's also what people see when they're seeing you in the comments, or they're just like hovering over your name. One of the things for engagement, because I've been actually actively studying LinkedIn currently because I'm more of a Facebook girl. But the algorithm is really interesting. It's run by Microsoft, and it's really just like a posting format. There is a lot of engagement though too. I just don't see necessarily the reach getting any bigger unless you're advertising, and it's super expensive over there, compared to other platforms. So one of the things I recommend is, if you're comfortable with it, connecting your database of contacts and then just adding people that you know. So, or connecting with people that you know. So connect with as many people as you can. There is no reason that everybody here should be able to get up to 300 connections, but 500 plus is very average. And then just engage every now and then when you're like sitting at the doctor's office on your app or whatnot. Just go and like things that you actually like. And then, and this applies to all networks. Also, just X out. There's usually an X button on like content you don't like. And then eventually the algorithm will start bringing your tribe to you, which is nice. Um, I recommend posting on your personal profile. Things that you're doing, they don't necessarily have to be achievements, because you see a lot of that on LinkedIn. That's why people are timid about posting over there. So what I've been doing lately is just like, hey, I'm working on this website. Like I think I posted about Score last night. I'm like, oh, look at this really cute slide deck, which hopefully you think the same thing. So that's it about LinkedIn. And I'm gonna open that just real quickly for questions about LinkedIn, because let's see what we got for time. Jasper, is there anything, or is it anybody have a question?
We're doing great on time. Kathy introduced herself in the chat that they're building 4 cabins to rent with a blockchain/AI twist. Interesting stuff.
Ooh, I
Um,
like that.
yeah, but if anyone does have any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. Um, Michelle Johnson says, "I find my info is compromised from LinkedIn." I hope you can get that taken care of.
Well, it depends on what your info is compromised. So, like, does that mean that you can't log in, or does it mean that that somebody's stealing your data?
Not my account, but my info. Hmm.
Oh, interesting. Well, so LinkedIn launched like this sales navigator program, and it's very spammy at times. It has been anyhow. So, but you got to look at. I should probably start off with my safety slide. Um, but basically, if you're not paying for any type of software, then you are the product. Like, and not necessarily you. Like, nobody's looking at me. No one's saying like, "Hey, we want to attack Tracy O'Clair from Winslow, Maine." They're just looking at business data. So I worked in the market research industry for quite a while, and data's everywhere, from the car you drive, from the phone you have, from like the satellites, the trackers on the street and whatnot. And really, large companies, really what they're trying to do is sell something. So, but it's not you. It's just necessarily like, hey, we have this data. We know what this person's doing. Let's sell them, a pair of socks or something. So just FYI. But that said, you need to make sure that you have your privacy. You are only willing to share what you want to share. Don't be sharing, don't be doing those little games on Facebook or wherever that says, "What's your maiden name? What's the first car you drove?" You know, all of those security questions. That's probably not a good thing to be putting out there. So go at your own pace.
Yeah, we do have Michelle also says that they find fake accounts with their info.
That's interesting. You're gonna find that I've had that happen to me multiple times, and I thought it was like the girl next door, but it's really just spam bots that are trying to get people to click and put their credit card in. So the best thing you can do about that is report them, and then have all your friends report them, and hopefully the platforms have gotten better um, at removing those quicker. So that's your defense
Hmm.
against that. I'm
And
gonna
then we
move
do
on
have,
to the. Oh, go ahead.
oh
One
yeah, we
more.
have one more quick one from Amaryllis, asking if you recommend LinkedIn if you're retired.
Depend well, it's that's a good question. Because a lot of people work and then they retire. So, I don't think it's a bad spot if you have a lot of people within the industry. It depends on what your goals are, you know, like, are you trying to connect with everybody, that you used to work with, or you have a new business? So there's that, and it's perfectly okay to put retired on there. Um, the other thing that I like about LinkedIn, so that's part of my sales follow up. So if I or networking follow up, so if I go out and I go to conference, I'm like collecting business cards, right? So I always put them in my contacts, and then I always send them an email saying, "Hey, nice to meet you at such and such conference," and then I add them on LinkedIn because people change jobs all the time. That means they change emails all the time and phone numbers all the time. So LinkedIn's a really good spot to kind of keep a list. So I'm gonna move on from for now, Jasper. Um, just so we don't get too far behind, because this is my favorite. Well, one of the things that I want to really tell people, because this is where I find a lot of people are missing some information. So I don't know. Can we have a show of hands of who has a website? Is that possible,
Yeah,
Jasper?
people could use the raise hand function in the React window, or you can put in the chat if you have a website.
Okay, and then if you can just give me an update on that, Jasper, when you have one.
Yeah.
That'd be great. So, my little spiel about websites that I find a lot of small businesses do not understand is that your domain and your hosting can be two different companies. So there's a lot of different companies that can have their hands into your website, and so you have it. And it's really difficult that I find, especially people that aren't tech savvy, to understand like, where is my website? You know, where is it just out of space? Or like, why am I getting this bill from this company? Because a lot of scammers will be like, and you've I'm pretty positive that 90% of the people in this call on this Zoom call has gotten a call from Google or somebody pretending to be Google saying, "Hey, we can optimize your Google's in threat," you know. And I actually just recently had a new client that believed that and gave them a credit card. It was like, I think it was like $500 or something. But anyways, don't fall for that. You need to make sure, and this is why we're doing this presentation, that you know what you own, what you don't own, and with who, and who you're supposed to pay, and how much is too much. That's really the goal. So just to get into it, the domain is actually your website address. So it's what I would type up in like the very top of your browser. So it could be www dot isellcups.com or whatever it is. So that's your domain. That has to be registered somewhere with some company. You're not just going to be like, I own this domain because I bought it off some guy on the street, right? So so companies like GoDaddy, there's Bluehost. You can buy domains basically anywhere. They should not be more than $30 a year. Okay. But you need to know where that is, and who that's with. And then also, what is tricky and what's so sad for small business owners that are not tech savvy is that sometimes these domain companies are resellers and then they go out of business and then they sell it to somebody else, and they may be sending you notifications or they may not be sending you notifications about this. And then all of a sudden the domain's lost. So you should have a domain registered somewhere with a company, and you want to know what that where that is and how do you access it. And you should be able to access it. If you cannot access it and you have a guy that accesses it, um, that means that perhaps he's a reseller and he's hoarding them somewhere. So just you should be able to get into the system yourself or have somebody that you've hired to get into that system to do whatever needs to be done with that domain. Another little tidbit about domains is that you can have multiple domains going to the same site. So I know a real estate agent that's a realtor that's close to me, and they have their main site, and they're actually like Coldwell Banker, Ford in Waterville, and but they also have like watervillerealestate.com, and it all goes to their site. So that helps with your SEO. If you're a small business, one domain, that's it. That's all you need to manage. But they're fairly inexpensive. Um, so when you have your domain, it has to point to your website. Where is your website? So it's not just out there in outer space. Your website files, like same as you have a photo or an image or a document, and it's a large file that won't go through email, or it's a small file that we're just posting on social media. That takes up physical space. And that's why we're having data centers built all over the country, because it has to live on a server somewhere. So ideally, we want a server that's safe, right? And there's a lot of different hosting companies out there. Again, there's GoDaddy, there's Amazon, I would go Squarespace, Wix, all of that offers hosting. Hosting is typically less than $40 a month, based on what you're hosting, like how big your site is, so on and so forth. You can get it a lot cheaper in different places. Um, Let me just sure. Okay. So I personally, and I'm just gonna put this out there, like I don't like Wix and Squarespace, just because I worked in Squarespace and the customer service was crappy. Um, and then Wix is just really confusing. So I personally don't trust them, but that's on everybody else. Um, so anyway, so your files of your website, whatever you're building on, which actually, let me get to that. So that's hosting. Okay. Now we have two companies, or also the domain people can also be the hosting company. So that could be one person or it could be two. That's that. They should not be overcharging you, unless sometimes hosting companies that have some system that they're reselling, but you still have access to it. That's the biggest point. Is they will also add some fees on top because they're doing updates to your website, such as I'm going in and I'm adding new products once a month or something like that. That's the only reason I can see that somebody's charging more than $40 a month, right? Um, and so there's that. So then you have your website. So your website can be built, like I was saying, on multiple different platforms. So we typically use WordPress, which is more of like you own the files, you're not paying month to month. But there are people that build on WordPress, but also offer hosting that is, sorry, uh, that will whatever. So there's more like a package deal. So what you would need to know is that if you're new to the platform, if you're new to like kind of websites, or you don't have a website, is that you would need your domain, your hosting, and then you would need somebody to develop the site if it's not you. Um, a lot of the small business, user friendly website builders are not necessarily user friendly, and they're a little complicated, but you could do a website on Google. I mean, that would be a thing. You could definitely do a website. It depends on how tech savvy you are, but just typically your website developer and designer is another third party, which you would pay usually a flat fee, unless they divide it up into monthly payments, to do the design and the development. And what I like to separate design and development. It's the same person. You need the same person or the same company to do that. But a lot of times in companies, the designer and the developer are two different skill sets. So it's like having a secretary or a marketer. Like it's typically not the same skill set. As you can imagine, a developer is all about code, so they're thinking mathematical. And then a designer is arts. So if you can find the same person that has both skills, then that's good. And it's more common now, I would say, because of AI capabilities and whatnot. So you have a website platform that you're building on. WordPress. I'm really coming to a blank on anything else that I would recommend, but Wix, whatever it is. And then you have somebody in there designing it if it's not yourself designing and developing. And then the web, I don't, can you guys see my cursor? Like if I move it, Jasper?
Yes. Yep.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, I didn't know I had a cursor. All right, cool. So, so your website is built by your website designer. Ah, no, come back. Hold on. Your website designer developer, and then those files are here in the hosting. So the hosting is also where your staging site would be. So usually you are going to purchase hosting so that you can have a staging environment while it's being developed. And I would say 6 to 8 weeks typically is a good time frame for a website design develop of a basic site, just because you got to do all the branding and the typography and then get the layout down and then actually get in there and start playing around with the pages. And I find with a lot of small business owners that a lot of that time is just like approvals and copy and all of that stuff. Obviously people are busy, so especially small business owners. So anyways, and then you have your domain over here. Once it's all live, you take your domain and you direct it to the hosting. So this domain is through some magical, not really magical, but technical thing that it's certain records that shows it where it should go. So that's kind of the setup of what you're going to be looking at. But you need to make sure, like I said, have access to your domain, register, have access to your hosting account, and then you should also have access to the back end of your website. Even if you don't know how to use it, make sure you have access to that, because I think that because whoever your company is that may be managing all this may just disappear someday and not we don't know what's going to happen. So just for that safety as a business owner, you should have access to these files and these accounts. And then I put in a baby in a race car because I'm like, your website is your baby. But then I was like, well, maybe I should put a race car in there too. But from there, your website is like your main point of contact, right? This is something that you ideally own. You can download it and take it to a different hosting company. You can, you don't want to lose your domain. You want to keep the same domain because ideally it says the name of your business. Unlike mine, where I've been trying to get Talk Media forever, but somebody owns it in Canada and I've contacted them a million times and they're like, yeah, no. So it's like TOC hyphen media. And my website's probably not a good website to look at because I'm like the cobbler's kid. So anyhow, so your website is your main focus point of all your marketing. That on your website, you want to tell people who you are, what you're selling, how do they buy it. People don't want to click 3 times, twice. They don't even want to click twice if they can click once. So don't try to make them go find it unless that's your strategy to make them find it. Because in some marketing strategies, that's the point. And then I got a question. How do I contact you? So typically on your website, even if it's very basic and it's not selling products as an e-commerce site, then it's like, okay, here's my homepage, which should tell me everything I need to know before I go anywhere else. Here's my about page. This is who we are as a company. Don't get overly complicated. We started this business. It could be a paragraph, 2 paragraphs, whatever. And then here's what my services are. You could have those services broken down into multiple pages, which is better for SEO. However, if you're just getting started, just put them on one page and think about that later. And then you need a contact. So a contact page, but the contact form comes in key when you're pushing things and trying to measure things. So if you have a contact form, it's a lot easier to track how many leads did I get. And then from there, it kind of comes out of marketing and then into sales. And so it's like, these were the leads. Were they valuable? So you want to give people enough information on those contact forms to make sure that like you're kind of vetting out people that aren't a good fit for your business. Um, and then the website itself should be collecting the contact form entries that will go to your business, and then from there it's like, how many did I get, were they qualified, okay, out of the qualified ones, or out of how many did we close. And that's not on marketing end, just FYI, that's on sales end. But from there, the ones that you close, how much money did you make? What was the sales? So that kind of justifies, what am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? Maybe I need to switch some things up a little bit. It could be website flow, but usually it's on the marketing end. Am I not directing people to the website that should be directed there? So even if you just have one page website with a little bit of information on contact form, that's better than nothing, right? And it's usually less expensive on the development side. So that's where all of these other things come involved, which we're going to talk about next. Just having all of your profiles that you should have in order to market and tell people what you do. So that's where the exposure. So all of your social media and your email marketing should be driving traffic to your website. I mean, you're not going to put a post every single day and say, go to my website, go to my website, but you get them entertained, you get them to like you, like you're flirting around. You're flirting around on social media, you're giving education, especially if you're doing something that somebody else could do, but they should be hiring you because you're the professional. What I'm finding with most people is they're going to try to do everything they can themselves until they realize they can't and they need to hire somebody, right? So like there's a lot of YouTube carpenters out there, there's a lot of people that are like, I can figure out social media marketing and so on and so forth, but then they come to a time crunch or they just don't have the passion and the care to like actually go through it and figure it out. So you need to, then that's when you would go fill out the form and be like, well, I've seen this person online, they seem to know what they're talking about, I'm going to ask them what their rates are, I'm going to have a conversation with that person about how would they do it. And obviously you should be interviewing before you make final decisions. Um so Uh, I would like to break briefly to see if there's any questions on websites, domains, and hosting, because the next slide is talking about emails, and then we're going forth with social media.
Yeah, we did have a comment from Michelle, sharing her website. They're service-based, so they do have to double click, but it looks like it's a click through to the offerings and then a click to book. So that might be a case of not too bad of a double click there.
Yeah, that's not like double click. Like, yeah, no, that's normal.
Yeah, if there's any questions about websites, feel free to throw those in the chat. We did have it looked like about 5 people in the group right now have a website, and Jen is working on one.
Okay, cool. So this is really good information for them then.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, Alrighty, awesome. So I'm just gonna move on to business email. And this is about where I expected the audience to be. It's kind of like really fresh. So I think this is a good information for them prior to getting started, just so they know where, what they need.
Yeah,
Thank you,
absolutely.
Jasper.
Of
Um,
course.
so so I'm gonna go into the business email debate. A lot of people work off Gmail. I don't see a problem with that. However, as a marketer, I do. So, like, you can definitely work off any email address that you want to be contacted at. However, I do like the idea of having a business email that has your domain on it. So a business email just means that you have your name with the at sign, and then it's your website domain, like we talked about, .com. And you could set up a very simple one, info at. So the reason why I like it mostly is because it's branding your company. It has nothing to do with SEO. That's not going to make any difference. So email accounts you have to pay for. Um, the Gmails, the Yahoos, the iCloud accounts. You don't have to pay for those because those are free. But it does like anyways, I prefer the ones with a domain. It's easy to set up. However, it does cost money. So you're looking at about, I would say, under $20 per month to purchase an email. And there's all different people that sell it. So a lot of the hosting companies, a lot of the domain companies will sell emails. My the ones that I trust the most are, so we're looking at this side of the screen here. The ones that I like the most are Outlook and Google Workspace. So not Outlook, but I think it's Microsoft Exchange is what it's called. I probably should have put a different logo up there. So you'll find a lot of people that are doing that, managing these, and can basically help you set that up. I've never personally set up Microsoft Exchange, which is not Outlook, but it's basically a Microsoft product. But I've worked with a lot with Google Workplace, and it seems to be very seamless. I've had an email for my company through GoDaddy, and it was super clunky. I don't know if it's still like that because it's been like over 10 years. Um, just make sure that whatever email platform you're using for your business email, so it would be like tracy.auclair at toc-media.com, that you are able to access that and manage it. So again, a lot of times your website developer, designer, or whatnot will say, "Hey, would you like an email with the domain?" Or any one of those companies that that you're working with, whether it's domain hosting or your website designer, developer. Um, I would think they would think to ask you if you would like a business domain, I mean email. So I vote yes on it, but you can get by with something else. Um, that's my little spiel there. I personally like Google Workspace because it syncs with all my products very quickly. I can go into Google Workspace and make changes. I can do a alias, and I feel like anybody non techie could probably do that too if they know how to log into their account. Um, so that's that side over here. So then I added this here. I believe that every business brand, or every business owner should have a Gmail for their business account. So ideally, you have a Google account for yourself, which a lot of you guys probably already have some type of Gmail account that's like your personal Gmail account. And then you have a lot of different products set up with that. Basically, every Gmail account should have its own products and own sign in. So I recommend that everybody has a Gmail account for their business. It can be anything because you could actually take that Gmail account and go into Workspace over here and connect it to your business email account. But the reason why is because Google has, I don't even know how many products. I should probably look up that number, but they have a lot of products that are for marketing. So some of them would be Google Analytics, Google, what is it called? Google, I'm sorry, Google Business Profile, have it right there. YouTube, Google Ads. So when you have a website, I don't know how many people have Google Analytics, but a lot of your website platforms will have data on the back end, but the real meat of the data is in Google Analytics. So, and they have a bunch of different versions in there. I'm not a professional on Google Analytics. I just connect it and I look in there for data for the most part. So Google Analytics will tell you who's coming, where they're coming from, what is the referral sites, what are they clicking on, and that is a lot of insight to your audience. You know, how many people are going to my website? And then if they're not going to your website, it's like, you know why? Because you haven't told them to go to your website, right? You can't just expect a website to be found automatically just because you have it. However, if you have something on your business card that's connected to your website, then you that would be another way to do it that's not not digitalized or whatever. So anyways, so then when you have this, and I'm not saying that, whoa, I'm about crazy. Let's go back here. Okay. So just know that you're gonna need your own business account for Google, Gmail account. Google, but I do want to talk about Google business profiles. So basically, Google business profile used to be Google My Business, and that's what controls the maps. So when you're on Google Maps, the businesses pop up, like, small businesses, this and that. So if you have a retail physical place, that's great. But even if you don't, one of the biggest things now, with Google My Business is that it pops up on the side of your search. So if I use Chrome, obviously, not obviously, but like I use Chrome, and so Chrome, if I'm typing in any business like shoe repair store, or I'm actually looking for a business that I can't find, um, they will have their Google Business profile that will show up on the right hand side, and ideally it will connect. It will have the business information, some pictures, their logo, and their address, as well as a phone number and their hours, and what else? And then a link to their website. So once you create that, you can add all of that information. People can find you very quickly. However, I feel like the biggest point besides the map is that they can do reviews. And Google does make it fairly easy once you have that set up and verified. You do have to verify it. It's going to take a couple minutes. And mostly I find people just have one or two or three or four or five that they've tried with multiple different accounts. And that's why I feel like you need your own business Gmail account, because it gets really confusing. That's why. So with Google Business My Profile, there is a link once you have it set up where you can copy, and it will allow people to click on that link, and a review box will show up where I can give you a review. So we'll do that on a website, down at the footer, wherever we want. Could be on a Facebook. Hey, go give us a review, and whatever Google account they're signed into, it will just pop up, and people can automatically do the review and then just click send, because those are important, as we all know. When somebody refers somebody, it's much more valuable. You have a little bit higher trust for that recommendation than you would if it was just somebody off the street that you're kind of cold calling. And then also that would be where you would run your Google ads from that account as well. So, questions on that?
We had a great one from Jen. How would you handle if you have no physical space that your business resides in for a Google business profile?
There is a button for that. I typically don't have I'm been virtual forever. So there is a button, you just click it, and then you don't have to, it won't show your address.
Seen some places too, it kind of shows as the area you service is your business shows up on your business profile.
Yes, that is so correct. Right. So you could add a lot of different areas to service, but you have to do it by the town, which is kind of,
Hmm.
well, I never tried doing it by the state, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michelle shared that GoDaddy does link a lot of these things as well currently. They introduced some AI tools, and Microsoft, I think, has renamed their program 365 now.
Yes. Yes. Um, I'm not- can you do the I'm not sure if you can do the business email from 365, but that would make sense.
Hmm.
So, but these are trusted. I mean, I trust Microsoft in regards to emails, and Google in regards to business
Yeah.
emails as well.
Michelle
So
says that you can also do that from there. So that's good
good to know.
information. Thank you, Michelle.
Good to know. Thank you. Okay,
All
I'm gonna
right.
jump into Facebook because we're running short now. All right, so I see that there. Okay, so Facebook gets a complete mess sometimes, and when I say Facebook, I mean Meta, really. So back in the day, it used to be that you just manage your page and that's it. But then all of a sudden came along Facebook Business, which screwed everything up because they just beta testing it. And then now I have accounts stuck here, stuck there from like legacy accounts. So it was really confusing. However, I just went in and set up a bunch of accounts for my client, or like a clean slate. Like they had no Facebook, they didn't have Instagram, they didn't have anything. And it was super simple. So if you're starting fresh, it's great. However, this is where I find a lot of problems, because Facebook typically, like if you have an employee on your page and then they left, and you're maybe a reputable company, but you just lost access, like trying to get access to a Facebook page that is missing is nearly impossible currently from my last experience. So, anyways, what I recommend, you have your personal page. Some people can get away depending on how small their business is, and if they just if they're not really having a separate brand. I'm an artist, but I don't have necessarily a separate brand, or they don't want to have a separate brand. And that's a whole debacle. Every entrepreneur deals with that. Like they're struggling with, like, do I have a separate brand? Who am I? You know what I'm saying? Because it's two different things. I'm my personal brand, and with all your personal profiles, you need to be who you are. Your businesses may change, your personal environment's going to change. So like just have consider yourself a brand, right? And be yourself. Being authentic on your social media and your digital marketing is very important. And then the brand side, you know, focus on that. What are they selling? Really, what are they selling? Stay in your lane. Like if you're selling cups, sell cups. Don't be talking about gardening unless there's a cup in gardening, which there potentially could be. So what I recommend is, well, first of all, Meta owns all of these companies. Not all of these companies, but all of these brands, right? And I actually just watched a live stream on Meta last night on LinkedIn, and it was really cool what they're doing. So they're reaching out further into virtual reality, and I know some of you probably don't think that's cool, but as a techie marketing person, I'm like, wow, that's interesting. So Meta has a business suite where you can add all of these products, these brands into it. So let me just run down briefly. You have your personal profile. You're going to create a business page with on Facebook from your personal profile. Ideally, what you want to have is somebody else that has full admin rights. That could be your child, your husband, somebody trusted, just to be like a backup person to make sure that if something goes wrong with your profile or whatnot, that you still have access in some way or another. With that, you want to make sure that somebody can't just access you want to have a two-factor authentication, because that's going to be very important. And then you want to make sure that you have passwords on your phones, if that's the way or your devices and whatnot. And you would want that person to have the same thing. And then just to get in a little spiel about passwords, because I know we're running short on time. Passwords, you shouldn't use the same password all the time. And then you should obviously have the passwords a little bit longer with multiple characters, numbers, and letters. I recommend a password manager that is not on your laptop or your phone. So it should be cloud based, whatever it is. Whether that's Google, I use LastPass. There's I like it. It works great for the business too. Okay, so that's my spiel about passwords. Um, create your well, ideally you already have a Facebook page, a Facebook account, create your page, create your Instagram account, which you have to create over here. And you can create a Meta Business Suite from Instagram, and you can create a Meta Business Suite from Facebook, and that gets confusing. But ideally, you can only sign into Instagram. You want to sign into Instagram first, make the account, turn it into a business account. And then from Facebook, I recommend that from Facebook, you create the Meta Business Suite and add Instagram. And then what you can do is you can share content from Facebook from Facebook to Instagram and vice versa. It's tricky, but ideally I would create the Meta Business Suite in Facebook as a primary source and log into that, because it has more buttons and more data, and that's where kind of everything is stored, versus going from Instagram to Facebook. And your Instagram may be connected to a different business suite. I feel like I'm getting really confusing. So Facebook, Instagram, and Meta Ads Manager should be in your Facebook Meta Business Suite. And you need to make sure you have access to all three of those accounts down here. So the Facebook, Instagram, and I'm going to leave WhatsApp and Messenger alone for now. Oops, come back. Sorry, my pointer's not the greatest. I need a different method. So up here at the top, you want to have at the end of the day, you want to have access to your Meta Business Suite. You want to have access to Facebook. You want to have access to Instagram, and you want to have access to Meta Ads if you plan on advertising. But it's good to set one up on the business side anyhow, and you have all your data under one roof. That gets, like I said, super confusing. I'm gonna stop there and welcome questions for this slide, because the next slide is just kind of like an extra slide. but I have a feeling there should be questions on this slide.
Let's see. Everyone's agreeing that the Meta Suite's a mess. They keep
It
changing how the
is.
pages work and the instructions. And over here at Score and with my own personal business as well. I concur as well. So it's good at least that they're starting to get under one roof. But it's been a struggle for a while.
Yeah, I agree. And if you don't have a lot of things connected to Meta Business Suite, you can you can literally like delete it. And it won't delete your pages and access. Just make sure you have access to Facebook, Instagram, and then delete and then remove all the accounts out of there and then delete it. And if it lets you delete it, then you're free.
Mm.
So that might be the
Freedom,
better. No, I mean
sweet
that might be the
release.
better idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you could start over or not. I think it
Mm,
does offer a good platform if it's set up properly, but there's so many different releases out there. Um, because Facebook doesn't just change a button. They release it to like a million people or however many people they release it to, and then see their feedback and then change it back. But for the people that aren't in it all the time, they don't see it. They don't, you know what I'm saying? It gets confusing.
mm.
It's a nightmare.
Right. Jen has a good point that we need to remember we do not own our followers. I think that's a good way to put it.
And I agree with that. So right, this is everything in there. But it's great if you can have a big following, and you can market it and send it back to the website that you do own, and then collect emails. So maybe that's a good segue into email marketing.
Yeah, and Michelle, big GoDaddy fan, says sometimes I find redundancy between the Meta Manager and the GoDaddy Marketing Manager.
I have not used GoDaddy Marketing Manager. I like to be right in the network. So that's another thing. Like I mean I do third party publishing, but I maybe because it's my passion, I don't know, but I'm in there like trying to understand the algorithm because it's changing all the time and I'm trying to beat it and break it. Um, so I mean, as long as you have a way to manage everything, it's fine, But again, we're using all their software tools anyhow.
Hmm. Oh,
I don't know if I
Michelle
answered.
says
Go ahead.
Michelle
Yeah.
says the moving away from it, so she does find it frightening. But that's what we're here to help with.
Do we want to let Michelle talk for a minute just so I can
Yeah,
hear what? Because I'm a
Michelle,
little
if you want to share.
Sure. Yeah. So I just hired a person to do a rebrand for me, and she's setting up a whole new website, not on GoDaddy. So now I'm wondering,
That's probably a good
am
idea.
I letting all of my GoDaddy knowledge, just letting that go and learning new things? That's why I'm here today, but I do use Meta, and I do have it linked to all the things
Good.
somehow.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
I
that's
just did
good
it.
because a lot of times it's hard. So you were using GoDaddy to do like your
Everything.
Facebook, all your
Yeah.
publishing and your advertising?
It does everything. It does social media. I can set up the posts to go to all my Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. I only post it in GoDaddy and then it goes to all those places.
And then your GoDaddy website was built on GoDaddy and not a different
Right.
platform like WordPress or anything like
Yeah.
that.
I did all of it
Okay.
from the get
Well,
go
then
from
why
GoDaddy.
why are you moving away from GoDaddy if you're familiar with it?
Well, because the traffic is not that great. And I don't really know how to use Google Ads. Like I have a credit, but I just don't know how to use it. So that's
Yeah,
why I have
that's a really complicated thing. Yeah.
yeah, it is. Um,
And what
along
do you
with
build? What are you going to build on?
Well, that's what we're discussing right now. That's why I'm here. I was trying to get
Oh, yeah, okay, all right,
an
yeah. I
idea
mean,
of
if you're
where.
you're welcome to I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but you can schedule some time with me and I can give you a free consultation just to, like, help you out a little bit better.
All right.
Uh,
How do I do
I
that?
I don't know, that's a Jasper question.
Yeah, I'll include some follow-up information in the message that I'll share the recording with, and you can
Okay.
reach out from there.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah,
Thank
just
you.
Jasper, just make sure my email address is in there, and then once you
Yeah,
send me an email, Michelle, then I can send you a scheduling link.
Oh, perfect.
yeah.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much, Tracy. I would
sure
love
thing,
that.
anytime. Yeah, definitely.
Uh, I
Uh,
missed the name of your business when we
Oh,
started.
it's Talk Media. It's TOC Media. Some people say it's TOC Media, and some people say it's Talk Media. I pronounce it Talk Media.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Um, Yeah, that's interesting because I haven't really played around with GoDaddy's. Like I said, I like to be in the networks, or we also use Sprout Social, which is another product that does all the publishing. It's pretty expensive though, and but it has like the data. Like if I connect all my accounts to it and I can group them by brand, it gives me data from like years and years ago, which is so nice to see because I can look at it and I can say, oh, these were the top posts that people like. This is what gives you all the reach. I mean, it has so many data points, it's ridiculous. But I do like playing in the networks too, because obviously you have, if you're in one thing, you have to be in the networks yourself. You have to be, so this is a good tip for everybody. You have to go on the browser and log into your accounts. And I know nobody has time, but just make, just do it while you're half asleep or whatever, and then and then you have to go into the apps because the apps offer something and then the browsers offer something. And so like you want to think about like who are your audience to, and what are they looking at, and then there's a lot of different ways to market out there, and you just got to kind of keep up with tech, unfortunately. um like I said, a lot of things aren't small business friendly or user friendly anymore, which is unfortunate. um Alrighty. So I'm gonna jump into email marketing because I think it was Michelle that said we don't own our followers. I don't know, can't remember who it was, but one of the things, and that's why email marketing is gold. So your email list is like the best, is the best return on investment, said by every single marketing company, research company out there. Because emails are going directly nowadays to somebody's cell phone. So you're getting into their personal space. Um, and they're welcoming you there. So email software programs like Constant Contact and MailChimp um, have unsubscribe buttons. They have, I think it's called a spam can law where you're not allowed to like say you're going to sign up for Tracy Eau Claire's marketing, but now you're getting Billy Joe's marketing. Like you're not supposed to be doing that. I know obviously we all get spam. And you should either block them or unsubscribe to them and whatnot. Um, so you definitely don't want to do that. But if you can create a large email list, that's gold. You can email them. The good thing about these software programs is that you can email, like get your entire list from QuickBooks or get your wherever your emails are. I mean, back in the day, I was taking business cards from clients and like typing them in. Hopefully you're not there. You should be saving all your contacts. I've been saving my contacts since I was 13. I don't know, that's just who I am. Obviously things have changed, and that's why I do like LinkedIn because I can connect with people over there. Add them to the email software. These platforms are not that expensive. They are raising in pricing, but we all are. If you have not looked at your pricing, you should be raising them probably. That's just the nature of the beast. It's harder to work out here. So uh so you can add them in here. So get all your emails. Try You should try to get rid of the people that you don't like in the emails, you know what I'm saying? But don't get overly crazy about it because a lot of those emails are probably not even valid anymore. Not a lot, but a percentage of them. Put them in here, send out an email saying, you are receiving this email. This is now going to be a monthly email from so and so because I started this new business. If you don't want to be on this email, unsubscribe here. The email, you send out your first email, you get a try not to swear. You'll get a crap load of bounces back that maybe auto replies, maybe this person doesn't work here anymore, so on and so forth. You'll go into your system and clean them out. I think MailChimp cleans them out automatically if they're undeliverable, whereas Constant Contact, you have to go in and like say recommended for removal. You hit that button and then you can delete those. And eventually, and then the other thing that you do, so that would be cleaning the email list. That happens over time. You just keep doing it. But then you also want to be growing your email list. So you can take these, say you send an email through Constant Contact or MailChimp, and I recommend those because they're small business friendly, small business pricing, right? Just go on the lowest plan until you can't be. And most of these are unlimited sends for a certain amount under 500 contacts. Um, so if I have 500 contacts, it's usually one price. And then if I go from 500 to 1,000, it's usually another price. And I think the lowest price is like 20-ish, $25. It is, like I said, rate rising a little bit, but it's so well worth it. So one of the things with emails is that you want to have at least send monthly. Oh, wait, let me get back to the growing your email list. So you can take any of these and put them on your website. So there's like an email sign up. We are working with a race company and they're very active. So they want information, but we have like a timed pop up every time you go to it. So it's not like super in your face, but it's like, okay, after a couple seconds, it's going to pop up, and we're getting a lot of new subscribers like daily. So that's something you can do. You can also just add links to social media. You can create an email within these software programs, send it out, and then after it's published, publish it to social media, which usually once it's published, it will have a join button where people can sign up for it. You can you don't want to just always be selling unless you're a retail place or a product oriented. If you're service oriented, it's more education plus, hey, here I am if you want me, you know. So the strategy is a little different. Okay, we got 5 minutes, so I'm going to say subject lines is what makes people open emails. So basically, I'm going to read it right now, I'm going to read it later, or I'm never going to read it, and most of the read it laters turn into never. So you just want to make those subject headlines non-spammy looking, so you don't want like free everything, but you want it to be like kind of to the point, something important that's within the content, but it's written almost like a headline. Grow your audience, keep growing it, keep growing it, and growing it and growing it. Small businesses, no reason you can't have, even if you start out with like 120, still do it. 120 contacts, grow that to 300. I think some tiny businesses, 300 is great. It's a great start. Can depending on where you live and who your audience is, 750 is even better. If you're up over 1,000, then 5,000. You know what I'm saying? If you got 10,000, then you're doing something right. But it can also be because you're B2C versus B2B. That makes a big difference. And whatever. Where you're located. So let's see. The only things that you can track in email and I'm pretty sure all email, is who's clicking through and then who's opening the email. But even if you're getting, like, we worked for this promotional items company a while back, and this was a while, like all my emails that we're sending out now for all our brands, the average open rate has gone up quite a bit. So that's good. But we were doing one. So it used to be like 24% is like your industry average for every industry all over the place. And then I think all of these softwares like Constant Contact and MailChimp like offer by industry, but I don't have access to that right now. And so anyhow, we're working for a promotional company and they were only getting like 15% of their audience opening the emails. But if you think about it, they're selling like trade show stuff, right? So these people are the marketing people at their company, and they have to order something, but so really the email is really just a reminder to like, oh shit, I gotta order something because the trade show is like, now I'm reaching deadline, right? But they're staying on the list. Like they're not really doing anything. They may not be opening, but they're staying on the list. They haven't deleted you, blocked you, or unsubscribed. So there's that. We got 2 minutes for questions, and then I have the last 3 slides are just score, not just score, but our lovely host score.
Yeah, we did. Jim was wondering about the costs of certain email providers. I know that some of their costs can vary.
Yeah, I think that I don't think, but yeah, they're, from what I'm gathering, like the starting cost is around $35.
Hmm.
I mean, I have it. I could send it as a follow-up somewhere.
Hmm.
I don't have direct access to this email list.
Yeah, I think overall, use the email provider like MailChimp or Constant Contact that is the right cost for you. What you would deem the appropriate cost at the time.
I did just look at both prices for a client though, and MailChimp was slightly less expensive.
Gotcha. Good to know.
In regards to Constant Contact, like it's I like the design features better, but go ahead.
Hmm.
Jasper.
Yeah, we use Constant Contact over here, and I mostly just because it has really good event features, like
Mhm.
ticketing and stuff like that. So, um, Michelle shares again. I use GoDaddy, but now I'm wondering if I did it that way because it was all in one. and it was just me. The marketing plan includes email marketing, and now I'm debating if I want to leave them. The hosting is $40 a month. Like I said, traffic is not happening. So it's a mixed bag for sure.
Yeah, traffic is a whole thing, and I'm curious if GoDaddy's charging you extra to do all that and what they're actually doing. So,
Mm,
yeah.
absolutely. Do we have any other questions in to before we wrap up today, everyone? Well, in the meantime, I'll read my closing blurb here. I do want to thank everyone for attending. I want to thank Tracy for a great presentation. Really informative stuff on a pretty important topic nowadays. Um, like we said earlier, we were recording, and so we'll send a copy of the recording and today's slides to you that you can review at your leisure. And we also include a survey in that message. Keep your eyes peeled for one from me, Jasper from SCORE. That we take your feedback seriously and would appreciate you filling out that survey. If you're not already working with a mentor, now's a great time. It's just as free as signing up for this workshop. You can do so right there at the link on your screen or heading to score.org and entering your zip code right on the homepage. And again, if you're not familiar with us, if this is your first time joining a SCORE webinar or workshop, we're a free, confidential, one-on-one mentoring service partner of the Small Business Administration, and we help businesses from every stage of the business cycle, from pre-start to exit, with things such as marketing, business plans, accounting, and more. And we have chapters throughout the country, including 3 right here in Maine, and we've helped start over 1 million businesses since 1964, as well as 560 here in the state of Maine alone last year. But I do want to thank everyone for attending. I want to thank Tracy for a great presentation. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Jasper. And I know everybody's kind of logging off, but if can you make sure to include my email address on the follow-up?
Absolutely.
Okay,
I always
that's
do.
done. Okay, thank you so much.
Great. Thank
Thanks,
you, everyone.
everybody.
Have a
Have a
good
good
one.
day.